Recording?
Do you know the intro?
I don't know your intro, Alex.
Careful, Disney's very, very litigious.
Welcome to Bonus Bookworms. I'm your host, Joe, and with me today as a guest host is Alex, and we have a very special... sorry. Let me start that over.
What do you mean I'm the guest host?
Round
We're just gonna leave this in. You can edit it out if you want.
Welcome to Bonus Bookworms. Today I'm with Becky, our guest host, and we have a very special author interview.
Woohoo!
With Alex.
Hey.
We're going to grill him on his books and ruin any plot holes for you so that you won't want to buy the books.
You're grilling my books.
Yeah.
Well, make sure you get a good sear on them.
Wow.
Paul Plimpton vs. Ragnarok, available on Amazon.
I did catch the grill on fire earlier this evening, so...
Oh, nice. I torched my grill earlier, too. Just cooking up sausages. It was great.
Nice. I was just doing steaks and the marinade, poured a little bit more marinade on them and engulfed the whole thing. So,
Nice.
Anyways.
Must be a family trait.
Pretty much. Anyways, we are going to talk
like
about
your dad doesn't listen to these.
two of Alex's book that he's published. The first one we're going to talk about is The Destroyer, his first ever published book, about to be reissued with all the mistakes corrected.
Well, let's not go with all the mistakes.
So I guess we'll get started on that. Alex, you want to tell us about The Destroyer? I'll even have you read the back if you would like.
Oh, jeez. Thank you. Oh, there's a picture of me on the back of me, like...
He looks so young.
Younger.
Like a baby.
Full of life.
When did you put this book out originally?
I published it in 2018.
Forever ago.
Yeah. So,
You're just a baby.
a wee lad. I wrote it when I was even younger. I wrote it when I was 22 and then sat on it for like 5 or 6 years.
We'll get into that. So how about you read the back and tell people what it's about here.
The hymn lives in a desert world long after the fall of civilization. Food is scarce, except for coconuts found in oases, and cannibalism is a common practice. Language is devolving as the human population dwindles. Rainfall is highly acidic, and people are forced to burrow underground when rain falls to avoid burning to death. I gotta work on that.
Good thing we're doing this edit soon, huh?
Yeah. When children reach a certain age, most become the children. Powerful, mindless, cannibalistic monsters that only come out at night. Most people are addicted to the drug, which makes them temporarily forget about the world that they live in. The drug can and does kill. All the while, the hymn is searching for the one item from before the fall. The one item that survived it all. The Destroyer.
Okay, sounds riveting, Alex.
Precious.
It's like a frog. It's riveting.
Oh, God, help me.
Geez.
Poor
Becky. Yeah.
I did very little prep for this work, so I can just riff. It's great.
Yeah, I did very little work. I came up with the questions about an hour ago.
Wait, you guys put work into this?
We're that meme now.
Did you put any work into this?
No, I never do.
Anyways. So, Alex, where did you come up with this idea?
I was taking a short story class in college. Just goes to show how old this book is. But I was trying to think of like cool like sci-fi ideas, and I was always a big fan of the post-apocalyptic genre. So I got this idea like, oh, there's the world's ended, and there's like one thing left, this mythological item that people crave, and so they're searching to find it.
Okay. What was your writing process like when you wrote this? Can you remember back that far?
Yes.
I know it was alcohol and drug-infused days for you, so...
Be nice.
Yeah, no, it's fine.
Sex, drugs, and rock and roll, baby.
I'm not mature enough for that conversation.
Yeah, I believe it or not, I wrote it during a slow period at my work back then. So out of college, I was working at a mortgage company, and it was like super slow for like 8 months. And so I was sitting there with literally nothing to do. I was even reaching out to my boss like, hey, got anything for me? And she'd be like, nah, just sit tight. And I ended up getting laid off. That was cool. But they brought me back like 3 days later. That was fun because they cut a little too deep with their layoffs.
Everybody hurts.
Yeah, but everybody hurts. But during that slow period, I would just like start bringing a notebook with me, and I started just handwriting out my idea for the story. And so I'd write it 5 or 6 pages a day, take it home, type it up in my computer, and just repeat. And so it actually, the whole like beginning to end is probably the fastest I've ever written a book. It took me about 6 months, which is a short book.
Is that for a first draft or for the...
By the time I had so when I put my writing process, when I put it longhand handwriting, it's called a rough draft, and then when I input it into the computer, that's my first draft, so I can kind of make edits on the fly as I'm doing that, and then everything after that on the computer is the next draft after that. Yeah, so by the time, it took me about 6 months out of that first draft done.
Okay. And how long did you work with the edits and whatnot?
So like I said, I wrote it when I was 22, whatever that was, back in like 2012. So, and then I published it in 2018. So, I would do periods where I'd work on it, and then it would sit for a while. I'd come back to it because I was writing other things, and then I'd work on it some more. And then you're writing for so long, you wind up with a lot of stuff. I kind of set a goal for myself where I wanted to publish 5 books in 5 years. I already had the Destroyer series mostly written. I had an idea for like a book of short stories, and I think by that time I was writing Paul Plimpton versus Ragnarok. So I had a pretty decent catalog of stuff, and I could just kind of keep working on, and then have a book a year.
Okay, we'll get into your publishing in a little bit.
Okay.
What is your editing process like? And other than me, what did you have for people to proofread, beta read, or editors?
Well, it's a very small operation going on.
So it's just me.
Yeah, I would do. Actually, I think Mom read this one for me too.
I think she did. I think she did a lot of your edits for you.
Yeah, she gave me a few just like more scientific things, which if you read this book, I was actually intentionally trying to be as unscientific as possible. Like, it's like, is this possible? I don't fucking care. Let's just throw it in there. It'll be cool.
We'll blame most of the mistakes, though, on Joe for not.
Well, I think my biggest problem with it was your way to avoid the rain.
Yeah, digging a hole.
I'm like, that would do absolutely nothing, Alex. You're not nearly deep enough.
It's like spraying Roundup. The dirt rends it inert.
No, that's not how that works, Alex.
But yeah, no, I wasn't really going for accuracy. But your edits were very helpful. Mom's edits were helpful. I wish I had, no offense to you, but I wish I had someone who was a little more like copy editing, could catch all the typos.
Yeah, that's definitely not me.
I
can't do that. Even like when I'm doing my writing, I don't
Yes.
even try to edit. I mean,
it's really hard to do.
Yeah.
For a flat fee of.
Ooh, I think Becky's offering you to edit all your books, Alex.
Oh, thank you, Becky. Yeah.
I'm horrible. Because I get distracted by the story.
Yeah, I'll split all the profits with you 50-50. It'll be like
okay,
$12.
Ooh, gonna be rolling in the ones.
More than Joe's ever given me, so.
Hey, you owe me money still, so I don't want to hear about it.
Whatever.
I married into the wealthier, so.
He's
okay.
free, people. He's free.
So let's we're gonna jump real quick to Paul Plimpton, your latest book.
Why are we jumping?
What?
Why are we jumping?
Do you have a question, Becky?
Why is it brown?
Oh yeah. So where did you get your cover idea from?
That was a stock image on Kindle Direct Publishing. So I wasn't.
That would work.
Yeah, I was. The setting is a desert, so I found a desert image, and I think when I re-release this, I do want to find something a little less
Dune-ish?
bland. What?
Dune-ish?
Dune-ish? Actually, Dune's in right now, so I should go more Dune-ish.
But isn't that a copyright infringement?
Why would it be? It's a desert.
Yeah, you can't copyright a whole desert, especially if it's a stock image.
Yeah, you can't.
I've
like
met Disney.
Speaking of, you can't slap like a C with a circle around it on the Sahara and be like, I get money every time I see the Sahara.
Well, that what's that British TV channel that
BBC?
No, I think it's Sky that copyrighted the word sky.
Oh, did they?
In England. So now they sue everybody for using the word sky.
That's great.
Yeah. But now we're gonna get into your latest book, Paul Plimpton versus Ragnarok. Alex, why don't you read the back? See if it's a little bit more coherent.
Yeah, I realized I'm like really bad at writing complex, like adult-oriented stories. So that's kind of like how I got from The Destroyer to this. So The Destroyer is like, well, I'm 22, I'm really dumb. Let's make sure the main character is really dumb. Simple story, few characters, kind of just a fetch quest kind of thing. So then I realized, I should try or I was working in children's libraries by the time I started writing this. I was like, oh, I'm going to try writing a kid's book. And I think it worked out.
Okay.
All right, Paul is a 6th grade loser with nothing to look forward to. His mom is out of the picture, which is bad. His dad is mining gold in Honduras, which is worse. But when Paul meets Harry Morrison, he discovers he has a mean streak to him. That mean streak leads him to getting sent to live with his father, which just might be the worst punishment of all. But when Paul discovers a mysterious tree in his father's mine, he is thrust into an adventure through Norse mythology. Soon he is contending with Norns, the great god Thor, and a whole bunch of monsters that want to eat him. And strangely, Harry is there too. Together, Paul, Harry, and Thor must travel to Hell and prevent Ragnarok, the end of the world, something Paul is wholly unqualified for.
Where did you come up with the idea for this story? This is actually a good story, I think, for where you came up with the idea.
So, originally, Norse mythology had nothing to do with it. We have a couple of family friends.
You all know Adam.
Yeah, Adam.
His dad.
His dad wound up owning a gold mine.
He was part owner in a 3-way ownership of a gold mine in, was it Honduras?
It's a family podcast. Roasted.
In Honduras?
Yeah, Honduras. And I was like, oh, that sounds like a cool idea. And I knew one of the other owners, I knew him, and I'm kind of based Paul's dad off of him as far as his shape. And just general level of competence. And
I think your character probably has more competence than the one that you based it off of.
Oh, for sure.
It's not Adam's dad.
Not Adam's
Just
dad.
to
Adam's
clarify.
dad's great.
Yeah, Adam's dad is the only one that kept it actually operating for not that they ever produced any gold, but
Yeah, well, I originally wanted to have it be like a horror story, and it'd be kind of like the Mummy style, where they unleash these scarab beetles or something along those lines. That's Egyptian, but
Good job.
yeah, thank you. But then I developed this just kind of personal interest in Norse mythology, and
Norse mythology was kind of big when you were kind of resurged, with I think Neil Gaiman put out something right around then. A couple other authors did.
There was the TV show Vikings.
Yeah, Vikings had just come out.
But definitely Norse was in at the time, and I don't know, he's a sore subject now, but Neil Gaiman's Norse mythology book is very well done, and I kind of fell in love with those stories, and it kind of started, I always had that mining gold in Honduras thing in the back of my mind, and then I was like, what? I already know a lot about Norse mythology, why don't I work that in there? And so I came up with this stupid idea of the Tree of Life is actually in Honduras. It's not in any Viking country, and it's because they were nomads and they traveled down there and whatever. And kind of just did a hard turn from this is a story about Honduras to this is a story about Norse mythology. And I was able to, the story kind of came alive from there, and I just just write it in my spare time as I went along, and I was generally having fun writing it. I'd write a joke and then read it to my wife, and she'd be like, "That's not funny," and I'd be like, "This is a perfect joke for this book," then, and go from there. She's listening in on this. She loves that joke.
Yeah, I'm sure you will get an earful later, Alex.
Yeah.
How long did it take you to write this one and
No,
edit it? And was I again the only beta reader, proofreader, editor?
I had Mom read it too. It took me. I didn't really track start to finish. Like I said, I had that seed of an idea, and I tried writing it a few times with a couple misfires. Probably took me about a year and a half to write it all down to get the first draft ready, and then the editing process was again another couple of years. I'm just draft after draft.
How many drafts do you think it took you?
I think the original one is the 4th or 5th draft. I've since re-released it with another draft where I kind of read it to myself, found a lot of the errors, copy errors or just, formatting issues, because I read it on a Google Doc, downloaded it to a regular doc, and then uploaded it to another program for KDP, and it just messes with stuff. So you got to catch all that. So I got an author copy, read through it, marked all the pages in the back of the book, just every time I found an error, and then go through, fix it, re-upload it. But yeah, it's been heavy drafting for. Okay. It's probably not as many drafts as some professional writers do, but I'm doing what I can.
Okay.
You want to explain to people what KDP is?
Kindle Direct Publishing. It is Amazon.com's self-publishing website. It's pretty. I don't know. I'm not a shill for it, but yeah, you can like build your own author page. It helps you track your sales, your copies of your book. You can design your covers. You can just publish a manuscript by yourself. It's like a whole publishing house in one website.
So do you have to do then like a 1099-C or whatever for like capital gains or something?
If I made enough money, yeah.
People, make his taxes complicated, please.
And for this book, you put a little bit extra money in on the cover, right, Alex?
Yeah, I actually went to Fiverr and I spent more than $5 on that cover. Probably everything I made on my books previously went into that, so like $10. But yeah, I wanted this one to kind of pop a little bit more than my previous ones because I was starting to take myself a little more seriously. Kind of got through that first high of being like seeing my name in print and being like, it's not going to take off. But I wanted this one to be just look like a professional book, even if it's not through a publishing house. Yeah. So yeah, I got a professionally done book cover for it of a giant worm dragon and a kid fighting him.
How did your writing process become different between writing The Destroyer and writing Paul Plimpton?
Well, that's a great question.
I know.
It's so weird when you two use those voices. You are not newscasters. Back to you, Paul.
More coming up at the top of the hour. So I have slowed down in my writing a lot, so take a little more time. I put a little more thought into it. My writing style has definitely changed a lot from The Destroyer because I haven't really written anything for like adult-oriented audiences really since I finished the Destroyer series. So I've tried to write in, it's for children's literature. I find that to be much more enjoyable, and I've developed like tastes and preferences for my writing. Like, I wrote The Destroyer in present tense, and I realized I really hate the present tense writing style. So basically, everything I've really written since has been, past tense and alternate. You can play around with it, alternate between first person, third person, and just have a general wider range of literary techniques and skills that I'm trying to incorporate, like foreshadowing and just dropping little hints here and there of what's going to happen.
What are you most proud about in Paul Plimpton versus Ragnarok? Like, what's your shining star in that writing that book?
I think that's the book where like I felt like my voice really came through. Like, I think the Destroyer series, like, I stand by it. I think it's a well done series, but I think that was me just more learning how to write. Like teaching myself. There's a book we're not talking about now, The Shelter, which is the sequel to The Destroyer. Someone had bought it and then posted I got a 5-star review, but wrote that I need to master the art of the English language because I had so many errors in it and I was starting to, and like weird run-on sentences. So just my general knowledge of how to write and be a writer has grown since then, and that's actually been a big that review. I think she deleted it, but that review has been a big inspiration of why I wanted to revisit all these books and kind of take a more professional lens to them.
That in the interview with Troy, I imagine, when he was saying how great of an editor he was.
He did great. There's no typos in that book.
That is true. At least that we could find.
Yeah. But yeah, I just I had like The Destroyer was fun to write, and then it kind of got less fun as it went along writing the subsequent books. But that was like that's probably the most fun I've had writing a book is Paul Plimpton versus Ragnarok. And
what made it fun?
It was kind of fresh. I'm writing a humorous story as opposed to something that's like darker and edgier. I'm just like trying to throw in poop jokes and talk about.
Kids love poop jokes.
They love the poop jokes.
Adults love poop jokes. Just ask Becky.
But I don't like poop jokes.
You like fart jokes, though, especially with animals.
I like to watch videos of animals being scared by farts, theirs or someone else's, because it's hilarious.
That is great. And I was just talking about subjects I love. Like I said, I love Norse mythology, so I was just like trying to incorporate those classic stories into it and make people laugh and have fun with it. Just be wild. You don't entirely know where it's going to go, and it's a bit of an adventure.
How are your stories different from other writers in the same genres?
Rick Riordan.
I was about to say, like Percy Jackson.
No, it would be Magnus Chase.
Well, I never read Magnus Chase.
You fail as a librarian.
Yeah. I was really
And
worried.
as a writer for Norse mythology in the children's literature section.
Oh my god.
I was actually really worried. I'd never read Rick Riordan prior to writing Paul Plimpton, so I'm like, oh, I hope I'm not just doing like a Percy Jackson ripoff. So I read Percy Jackson. I think the whole series. There's definitely enough differences. Like, this one's just, a straight up mortal trying to contend with things that are way over his head, whereas like Percy Jackson's, he's half god. He's still trying to contend with things way over his head, and also he's kind of flying solo until he meets Thor, and there's going to be a lot of similarities, young child coming of age story, learning how to grasp the world and all of its weird concepts that are hard for children to understand. But I feel like my voice kind of is very different from Rick Riordan's voice, and also my sales figures.
Is Chris Hemsworth going to play Thor still?
That'd be cool.
So why did you decide that you want to do 5 books in 5 years for publishing?
Well, I was working on my 4th book at the time. I was like, I've been writing for years now, and I got all this stuff kind of just sitting on my computer. I tried, looking out for publishers and like trying to find literary agents, sending out those query letters, that you gotta do.
How'd that go? Trying to go the traditional publishing route?
Not well at all. Just a lot of resistance mostly. Whether it's submitting a short story to a magazine, or it's really hard to break into that market because so many people want to do it, and they can be very selective, and a lot of it's also based on what's hot right now. So they might reject something because I start trying to sell my dystopian novel, and dystopians are kind of falling off because vampires are coming in, that sort of thing.
You could mesh them.
Dystopia.
Yeah.
I tried to get my vampire book, and they had no interest in that. So,
but yeah, I started looking into self-publishing. I'm like, I know I'm not going to make $1 zillion, but
what was when you decided to go self-publishing? What was like the deciding factor?
I think I started looking into it. I was just curious, and I saw Kindle Direct Publishing, and so I just kind of nonchalantly made an account, see what it was all about. It's kind of looking through it. I'm like, wow, it is really easy to get your book out there. And
did you do any of the marketing stuff to try to sell any of your books, or?
Very little. That's one kind of gripe I have about them, is their marketing system kind of sucks because you have to pay per click, something like that, and you only get paid if they actually buy a book. So you can blow all your money if you're not careful with that. So a lot of my I still got to work on advertising, but a lot of it's come through just kind of word of mouth.
This podcast.
Yeah, this podcast. Trying to talk to my friends and family, be like, oh yeah, look at this book I wrote. I drive around with a copy of Paul Plimpton in the back of my car just in case someone's walking by and be like, I've been looking for something to read. Go on Amazon and buy it for $9.99.
What if you made a poster that had tear-offs? Put it in a bar.
Like, have you seen this book?
Have you seen this book?
Follow the link.
When you're trying the traditional publishing route, did you actually get anything other than stock rejections, or did you ever get anyone that showed any sort of interest or saying, hey, this is why I'm not interested?
Yeah, a few of the literary agents came back. So The Destroyer is only about 40,000 words, which is actually a hard length of a book to sell. Normally, you might notice when you go to a bookstore, most books are somewhere between 280 to 500 pages. That's generally whatever that is, like 100,000 words or more. So novellas typically don't sell as well, so it's a little harder to market.
I see Kingfisher there is selling a lot of novellas. She seems to be pretty popular.
Yeah. We have a copy of What Moves the Dead by T. Kingfisher right next to us. It's a shorter one.
All of her novels are basically shorter, too, from my understanding. So. Yeah,
some people do break through with shorter books as well. I'm not saying it's a hard no, but as far as content of my story, I've just, no one ever commented on whether that's just something they're hoping to or not interested in. But T. Kingfisher, I think, does a lot of I don't know what her first book was. I think
she does a lot of horror, and she does a lot of kids' books. So she does a weird back and forth. I think she publishes under 2 names. Kingfisher is not her real name. That's
I know that. I forgot what the other name is. So, but yeah, short novels will go through, especially if they have a unique premise. But I guess mine didn't quite make the cut. And honestly, reading through 12 years after I wrote it, I'm like, oh yes, probably needs some work.
I had to say probably Destroyer was my favorite novel of yours that you wrote, but I think just story-wise.
Yeah, I think it's a fun idea.
It's definitely a solid story.
Yeah.
why'd you choose Amazon to publish? Did you look into any other outlets to publish through?
Yeah, I peeked at a few. Just Amazon's just so easy. I know.
What
Nobody
other
wants to
ones
give Bezos bucks, but there's a reason he's got what he has, because his product is really easy to use.
What other places did you look?
Oh gosh, I don't even remember. It's been a while.
Yeah, remember he was a baby.
He was a baby. Still is.
Yeah, I was 28 when I published my first book. A child, a wee lad, stars in his
His
eyes.
brain had barely just finished developing.
Well, let's slow it down a little bit.
I was gonna say he's still a little addled. So, was there a difference in publishing The Destroyer versus Paul Plimpton, or was it basically just the same thing? You just
Yeah, I mean, the process hasn't changed. You write it, you edit it, you edit it, you edit it, then you edit it, and then you send it off to somebody.
What's
they
that last
edit
step?
it, and then, well, I haven't gotten that. They edit it for you, and then you have to do their edits, and then you edit it some more, and then, yeah, you just publish it. And I mean, like I said, I took the extra step with Paul Plimpton of having the cover professionally done, but that was really the only extra added thing. That's what the reason I like KDP is just so easy to use. It's great.
So
I
is
love
your
it.
contract with that person done? Like, if this were to blow up overnight, would they get royalties?
No. I paid a flat fee for it. Yeah, Fiverr, a lot of people do like cover artwork and stuff like that for you for a flat fee. It's really cool. Just go on there, you Google book cover, and like it's like a whole thing. Like people just their side gig is making cover art for self-published books.
So a little side note here. There's a person I follow on Instagram who's been trying to break into the acting world, and she's been unsuccessful. But she also likes to review books, so she does funny skits on Instagram. I've sent you some, Becky. She's the one that does the God skits.
Yes.
Recently she sent out things like, hey, she does book reviews on Instagram, and she's recently said, hey, if anyone wants to send me a book that they published, I will give it a review. And she posted an address to P.O. Box to send all these books to. Within the first week, she got over 700 books.
Jeez.
And they're still coming in about. She's like, yeah, I get it. She's like, yeah, I get 100 to 200 books a day still. And she just, she bought multiple bookshelves to build around her house just to store these books. And she's like, yeah, I can't read all these in probably my life, so I'm gonna have friends read them and review them, and I'll post them here. And what she does do is she'll go through every book she gets and show the cover and say what genre it is and say support your independent authors. But so it was just kind of like there's that many independent authors out there that are trying to sell their writing, and like she said, a lot of these books are good books. They just never got picked up by anybody in the publishing industry.
Yeah, I mean, it's less than 1% of writers probably get published, but like even one book published, and then to actually like hit it big is even more rare than that. It's a couple hundred authors maybe hit it big every generation. So yeah, writing is a labor of love. It's something that you got to be a fan of doing. You got to be a hobby. It's something I enjoy. I'm never going to say like I'm a professional writer, but I do think I'm a published writer, and that's good enough for me.
Okay.
Even if I had to do it myself, God damn it.
So you took the Destroyer series down because you needed to do a lot of heavy editing.
Yes.
When do you think you're going to put them all back up?
Well, the first book, The Destroyer, I'm hoping to release concurrent with this episode, so October 20th.
If it is October 20th, we're hoping to have another episode if we can get that guest available. Otherwise, that'll be November.
Here, I'll say November 20th. November 20th. There, now you can edit that.
Okay. So come on, Haley. You can find time in this.
Yeah, so we will, if that's going to happen, we'll make an announcement probably on social media. If it's not going to happen, we'll pretend this never happened.
Pretty much.
If it's November 20th, that's just in time for the holiday season.
That's just why we wanted this one for November 20th. That was my thinking here. This is why we did Troy's on November 20th.
Good thinking.
Did you actually help him with sales?
Probably not.
We didn't ask. Of course we did. It's a bestseller now.
I'm sure he's just doing just fine before we ever came along. And
yeah, he's got to learn not to drum on tables when you're recording.
Yeah. But talking about sales, how were your sales on each of your books, and was it something you kind of expected for level of sales?
Yeah, I mean, you hope it'll always be a little bit better than it actually is, but I think The Destroyer is still my best-selling book. and it's sold less than 20 copies, which is fine. Paul Plimpton's actually, I think, close in sales too, so I think I pushed that one a little bit harder. Not nothing too much, but I he's trying to a little more established and comfortable in my writing, so I quietly published The Destroyer, whereas I kind of more put my hand to my mouth and went, I have a book, guys, with Paul Plimpton. So
I think I did more advertising for a lot of your books than you did.
Oh yeah,
you're announcing it on social medias and whatnot.
Yeah, that's something I need to work on. Is just like not being afraid to be like, hey guys, I did a thing. I've been trying to do that with just like I've been taking up theater more recently and trying to post on my socials, be like, hey guys, I'm in a play, come see me.
What are some recommendations for someone that wants to publish on Amazon or through another indie publishing company? What would you suggest to them?
Do it because you love writing. Don't do it because you think you're going to hit it big. Don't do it because you think it's a good way to earn cash or doing what you love, because you're probably not going to earn a lot. But the thrill of seeing your name in print is always good. The enjoyment of the writing process from soup to nuts is something that I take great pride in, because it is a long project. No matter what you do, no matter how fast you write, it's going to take you a long time to get your book done. So take your time, enjoy it. Make sure it's the best thing that you can possibly put out. And if you put it out and you feel like you could do better, do what I did, and you can just read through the book, find the typos, fix it, republish it. That's the beauty of the self-publishing thing, is you can go through and fix it after you release it. And no one's going to read it anyway. So you can just have it out there, and anytime someone talks about being like, oh, know any good books, then that's when I can be obnoxious and be like, oh, you should read Paul Plimpton versus Ragnarok.
You could just do that anyway.
Yeah, I usually do. It's like, I like holding a copy of it and be like, wow, Paul Plimpton versus Ragnarok. Can you believe this is only $9.99 on Amazon? Boy, I love supporting local authors. Just be obnoxious like that. It's fun to do.
Would you ever consider just donating some to a library and seeing if they get into circulation and seeing how that works?
So I've actually donated to 2 libraries. It's a friend of mine who lives down in Florida. She bought a copy for her grandson, and also a copy she wanted to donate to the library down there. So I don't know if they added it. I don't even know what library it is, but
well, it's Florida, so probably not.
She gave them.
Are you on the banned book list, Alex?
Their bookshelves are getting mighty bare, so they'll just throw anything up there. And then the library I work at has a copy. I don't think they've added it yet, but they do have a copy, and I signed it, so they better put it up there pretty soon. Actually, that's a bit of advertising I did. My employee profile, they ask you what your favorite books are, and I put Paul Plimpton versus Ragnarok. It was great.
I think that
put it right next to the picture of Dorian Gray.
Soup to nuts.
I was going to say the Florida one, it is Norse mythology, and those kinds of people that are banning books seem to like Norse mythology, so good chance it'll slip through the cracks.
Yes, but there's one hurdle.
Oh?
Honduras. Regardless of the fact that it has nothing to do with Honduras, just the fact the word is there.
That is true, yeah.
The Peanut Gallery said the people in that particular state can't read.
Well, before we edit that out, what are our listenership in Florida? We gotta check the numbers.
Anyways, if you could do it differently, is there anything you would do instead for publishing?
Now that I've had a little more time with it and I'm a little more comfortable, I would like to try and revisit, going the professional public publishing route, searching up literary agents and trying that whole rigmarole again. I've also, I'm starting to experiment with different styles of storytelling. I've gotten into writing for theater recently because that's a hobby I've picked up, is acting. So I was like, I could write a script, and it's actually a lot of fun writing for theater. So I'm enjoying I've written a couple plays now, and it's a lot of fun.
Are any of those plays going to get put in production, you think?
Yes, in Europe.
That's another shameless advertising I did. I know a guy who runs a local community theater program. He's like, oh, and it's brand new. He's like, what play? He asked me, I was like, got any good ideas for plays? I'm like, actually, I do. And he's like, all right, well, I'll read it. I'll get back to you. So I haven't heard back from him, but you never know. Just fun little things. But I would like to put one in production. I think it'd be fun. It's I sent you.
Yeah, you sent me one to.
Sent you one to edit. You said it was good, but repetitive. So,
yeah,
which is what I was going for.
Yeah. I gathered that. I said, I was reading some of the jokes. I get where you're going here. It's not quite landing with me, but as maybe because I'm reading it with a critical eye. So
that's what he calls it.
Yeah, sure. What new material are you working on now?
I've been should have finished this book like a year ago, but like I said, I've really slowed down my writing process. I'm working on a book about pirates. That one's going to be a long time before anyone sees it at this point. But I've got a couple other books that are closer to being done. I have one it's kind of like a younger teen-oriented book where there's like stories like the boogeyman kidnapping children. But this time, the boogeyman has kidnapped the children's mother, and they have to rescue their mother from the land of the boogeyman. It's I don't know. I'm selling it poorly, but that's basically what it's about.
Is that really what kids would do? I feel like ours would just be like, whatever, it's fine.
A couple days in, they'd be like, okay, we need to go get them because we've run out of candy.
So really, to make them sell to these middle schoolers, the middle schoolers are getting their hands on smut. I don't know how, but you need to put some smut in there, and those middle schoolers will find it. Especially those middle school girls. They have a very particular set of skills.
Alex looks awfully uncomfortable right now.
Yeah.
He's blushing.
Oh my. Yeah, I know there's a popular series right now that's called Fairy Smut.
I mean, there's a lot to work with a peg leg.
Yeah, you're right. You know what? The pirate story, the boy actually does lose his foot, so that might work out. It's actually a better idea than the one I had, where he becomes shoe buddies with the captain because they lose. Because he has the same size foot as the captain, and they lose opposite feet, so they share shoes.
They could do both.
That's true.
So you're thinking about trying to go back to the traditional publishing route then?
Yeah, it's something I'm playing around with. I'm not. I might not.
So what do you think is slowing down your writing process? Is it just you're getting more deliberate? You're having less time?
Well, I'm married now, so no, Megan's been very supportive of my writing, but just you run out of time. Like you get a busy life going, and it's hard to find the time. I think that's any excuse that any writer who doesn't write will say. But yeah, I'm slower, more deliberate. I've gotten a little older. The ideas don't flow as much, and my ability to sit still and put words on paper is kind of dwindled. But I'm still getting stuff written, and I go through phases where I can like hammer it out, and other times I don't write anything for a month. Usually during those periods I'm at least like thinking about writing, like what could I be writing, and kind of fleshing out ideas in my mind. I drink a soda and now I'm burping.
Who are some of your biggest influences for authors and just other people?
I draw from like a wide range. Some people are like fantasy guys or sci-fi guys. I tend to just read whatever I like. I know it's a sore subject, like I said before, but Neil Gaiman has always been heavily influential for me. I write nothing like him, but I read him, and I usually just want to throw my pen into the ocean because he's so talented. But it's he's you can feel intimidated by his writing skills, but also feel inspired. Be like, oh, anything can be a story. This is great. There's others too, like Oscar Wilde. Picture of Dorian Gray has always been my favorite book. Just love that wit and humor that he uses. Cormac McCarthy. So I could go through the list of the biggest writers of their generations, and probably say like I'm probably influenced by them. Actually, The Destroyer was heavily influenced by The Road. That kind of just wandering, trying to find a place or a thing, kind of storytelling with very simple, and like I use instead of using like punctuation and stuff, I use the word and string a lot of run-on sentences throughout the book, which is something I'm actually trying to fix a little bit. I went a little too wild with it. It's one of my heavy edits is going through and making it a little more readable without so many ands going through. It's that kind of using language differently from a traditional story to make it have a little more impact when you read it, a little more noticeable.
Which author would you consider yourself most similar to, and who do you try to emulate?
Oh, jeez.
We're getting the tough questions now, Alex.
Yeah, that's a tough one. Like I said, I can gush about Neil Gaiman all day. Margaret Atwood's another one. I'm not going to compare myself to those writers. I just try to find, like I said, with Paul Plimpton.
Maybe Elena Urquhart.
Yeah, Elena Urquhart. That's way more accurate. I don't think, what? I can proudly say that in all the books I've ever written, no character has ever rolled their eyes.
That is a 372 pages trope that they like to point out.
rolling their eyes. Also, the long, slender fingers.
Yeah, big hands.
Yeah, big hands.
Long hands.
Middle schoolers will find that smart.
Yeah. I woke with a start from the big hands. But, I think, like I said with Paul Plimpton, like I'm just trying to find my own voice. So there's always going to be, like, I see something funny on TV, I'll be like, oh, I can maybe work that into my own language and add it. Or something happens in my own life and I want to throw it in there. So yeah, like I read books, and whether it's, books about how to write, I've read plenty of those, or just reading books by my favorite authors, it's all going to kind of soak in if you read it with a critical eye. So that's what I do.
You kind of mentioned this before, but what other pursuits have you been pursuing lately?
As far as writing goes, or
writing, or just other hobbies you've picked up? Other things you're doing in your life that have taken over?
Well, I'm in sometimes I feel like I have too many hobbies. What a wicked curse that is, having too many things you enjoy
this
doing.
podcast thing is just taking up a lot of time.
Yeah, it really does. No, I've been playing guitar since I was 19. I enjoy doing that. And actually, a more recent thing I picked up was theater, which allowed me to play guitar on stage for the first time ever. So that was a lot of fun. But yeah, I find I really love acting. It's a lot of fun, and it's kind of like, everyone says I'm really good at it, so I'll take their word for it.
You want me to burst your bubble for that?
Joe saw me in one play. He gave me a thumbs up. What do you think about it, Becky? You saw it too.
I did indeed.
You like it when I came out as the satanic sex god?
You will never replace Adam Pascal. Sorry.
That's true.
Because that man is a sex god.
Well, I mean, it's community theater versus Broadway. What are you going to do? They couldn't get him, but they had me.
It's like comparing you to Margaret Atwood again, kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and Margaret Atwood's, very talented writer, but she also has probably somebody whose job description is read Margaret Atwood books and edit it for her.
Yes, I'm sure she does.
And she's got a literary agent and a publisher and all these people she meets with to discuss ideas.
So here's a controversial one for you, Alex. And remember, you have two of them here, and the other three are in the other room that they can probably hear. Who is your favorite child, a.k.a. your favorite book that you've written?
Oh, Paul Plimpton, for sure.
Yeah, he answered that. Where were you?
Well, you could have said his collection of short stories.
But
You could have thrown a complete curveball in here.
No, I haven't mentioned the short story collection. That one's not seeing the light of day again. I took that one down. I was like, I'm not proud of these anymore. This is gone.
Is that why Amazon says out of print?
Yeah.
Okay.
Why aren't you proud of those anymore, Alex?
I don't know. They just I saw those as more of short stories as more of a writing exercise. Like I'm trying to learn how to write one style or one theme. So whether it's I was tell a story non-linearly, or this one I'm going to practice writing dialogue only, and see if I can tell a story that way. So most of those are just I published it, I reread them, and then I was like, these aren't really complete stories. They're not like short stories like you would normally read if you were a fan of that type of storytelling. So took it down. I thought about revisiting them and pouring over each one, but I'm just more interested in writing for longer fiction and stuff. If I publish short stories again, they'll be fresh ones.
When did you start writing and you get interested in that sort of thing?
I picked it up in college, so it was the first hint that I might be decent at it. Was I was doing an American literature class in college, and we had to write certain authors. As our consistent writing assignments. Every 2 weeks, we had to write a short story in the style of one of the authors we read, and then the professor would pick his favorites, because in college you can pick your favorites, because who cares. He'd pick his favorite stories and read them aloud to the class. And it was a 8-week course, and he read 6 stories, and wound up being 4 of them were mine. So
That's
I was
impressive.
okay, I got something going here. And just and I also took a short story writing class with him, and everyone just always really loved what I put down, because it was I had a decent, just kind of natural knack for it, and everyone really liked it. They looked forward to it because I had unique perspective and a weird sense of humor, and it seemed to jive well with what everyone else was doing in that class. Because I don't know if you've ever taken an entry level short story writing class in college, but a lot of those people are just there for the credit, and they don't really care what they put down. So when someone who's actually having fun with it and enjoying himself, it's kind of a breath of fresh air.
I have a minor in creative writing.
Me too.
Go us. They were not there for the credit, the assholes. There was a dog-eat-dog class. I was the scared little puppy.
See, I actually didn't declare a minor until I realized I'd already taken enough writing classes to have enough credits to get the minor anyway. So I was like,
So
all right,
why
cool.
not?
Yeah, might as well just add to my resume.
Exactly.
Okay, I guess you kind of answered this, but why did you choose to express yourself through your writing instead of some other means?
Yeah, it's just fun to do. I like sitting and writing, sharing, like I said, when I was writing Paul Plimpton, I'd, write all these jokes and then read them to Megan, see if she liked them or not, and just I was just having a good time with it. It's like, putting that setup punchline and just having a laugh at it. Other ones I've written, it's just it's a good way to kind of put yourself into things, or if you're going through a hard time, for example, you can write a story that on its surface has nothing to do with what you're going through, but you can put some of those emotions you're feeling into it, and how would the characters act, and then you can it's like almost therapeutic, if you will.
Are you ever going to meld all your hobbies?
That would be fun.
A one-man performance.
Yeah. Do one of those concept albums that tells a story, and it can be the whole thing, a stage musical. That would be fun.
Alex
I would do
versus his
that.
books.
Do you have any more questions, Becky? Any more comments?
No.
No.
Because remember, I did not prepare.
Okay. Thanks for.
I'm a horrible human being to Alex.
Okay, so I got one more big question for you, Alex, before we go into our final 5 questions.
Oh dear, he has more for you.
This is the kind of question that could get you canceled. So I'll give you a minute if you need it to think about your answer.
Becky, just so you know, there's 2 things you can never be: overdressed and overprepared. All right, go ahead, Sean.
Taylor Swift or Justin Hawkins, and why?
Justin Hawkins.
Why
He's
are
a
you
better
even
songwriter.
asking him that? That's not even a question. What the?
He's a better songwriter. He's an excellent showman, and his YouTube channel is very good.
Okay. The reason why I asked is because we had a similar or a Taylor Swift question for Troy, so I figured we'd have a theme here. And
Like,
I
who's
you don't
doing better
even-
for the NFL, Taylor Swift or...
Yeah.
Okay.
who is Taylor Swift better for, the NFL or Spotify?
Yeah, that's
But
right,
it's
'cause
Alex. You don't even have to ask about Taylor Swift.
Why not?
We're going to
I've-
ask Taylor Swift-related questions
I've
to every
never
author
heard-
we interview.
I've never heard this man sing a Taylor Swift song. Thereby, he is not a Swiftie.
Yeah, man.
And he would have picked Justin any day.
Yeah, man. I'm a hater.
Any day.
Haters going to hate.
Yeah, but Justin Hawkins loves Taylor Swift, so
He does.
if you watch his YouTube videos, you would know this.
It's not mutually exclusive. Oh my god.
I mean, he's welcome to. He's got a general appreciation for a lot of the artists he listens to on that show.
So now that Becky's done being horrified,
I'm not. Why am I horrified? He is a good artist.
Yeah, he's just
I'm not saying you're horrified by his answer. I'm saying you're horrified by my even asking the
The
question.
best
Well,
part about
yeah,
Justin
that
Hawkins'
was kind of
show is just
insulting.
like his huge depth of musical knowledge. Like, he can listen to something in one or two listens. Like, he grab his guitar and like work through the chord progression and the guitar solos and talk about like all the different things they're doing within the song. Like, he's always like quick to point out the ostinatos when they play like a steady rhythm and then there's something changing over it. And like, it's fun to watch him talk about, like a guy nerd out about something he's an expert over.
I want to play a game with people like that where they tell me what movie certain chords are in. So if you listen to the Gladiator soundtrack and then the Pirates of the Caribbean, they have very similar progressions.
I don't know if you noticed this when listening to Justin Hawkins or The Darkness's latest single. At the very end of the song, when Justin's basically his voice breaks at the end because he's trying to push it too far.
Yeah.
That's something that he says he loves to see singers do, especially as they get older. So
Yeah, it's just like this cool little human thing.
yeah, so
It's
I was like, he's been going on and on and on about it, how all these famous singers push their voice to the breaking point, and then he finally just did it.
That song was really good.
Yeah.
The Darkness it was now the Darkness podcast. As of this recording, they a couple days ago they released a new single called "The Longest Kiss," and it's a really good song.
It's like the Beatles and Queen had a baby.
Yeah, and then a guy with a really high voice sang it, and had a blazing guitar solo. Really good guitar solo.
Well, it's just Queen. He could do all that stuff. So I said Queen and the Beatles had a baby. Okay, last 5 questions. The questions we ask all our author interviewers. How do you take your coffee, or if you drink tea, how do you take your tea?
Let's see. Generally, I've been actually trying to alter my coffee tastes recently. This has actually been one of the reasons I haven't been able to write as much, because I'm focused so much on my coffee intake. I usually take it with half and half. However, I've trying to cut back on the amount of half and half I'm drinking and just drink it black.
Okay, why?
I think my tastes are shifting, and I'm enjoying bitter more than I do sweet and creamy.
Okay.
Got him.
What is your favorite book?
The Picture of Dorian Gray by Oscar Wilde. Like I said, Oscar Wilde was a absolute genius. That book is hilarious, terrifying, and just so well done. It's a great book.
Where is your favorite location to write?
Generally, I like to write when I'm at work, because then I can tell everyone I'm a paid author. If I'm not at work, though, I'm probably writing in my basement or just on the living room couch.
If money and time were not a factor, what is the one book you want to write? Kind of your magnum opus.
I don't know if I have like a full-on magnum opus idea. I would want to focus more on writing for theater, and kind of like you were talking about earlier with incorporating my other hobbies, getting into musical theater and writing songs to go with it. I think developing a stage play would be just really exciting and a lot of fun to do.
What is the most important piece of advice you hope someone takes from your books?
Check for typos. It's really sad when you're something you're proud of and you flip through the pages and you immediately start finding typos. So, yeah, check for those as best you can.
Okay.
It's almost inevitable you're going to go through each page, with a magnifying lens, find every single typo. You're going to publish it. You're going to open up to page 2 of your brand new book and find a typo. That's perfectly normal. But yeah, it's if you want to present yourself as you taking it seriously, then try and get as many typos as you can out of there.
Okay. Well, thank you, Alex.
You got it. Was that 5 questions?
That was 5 questions.
Wow. Look at me go.
Was that as painful as you thought it would be?
No.
Yay!
Surprised we got hung up on the coffee bit for so long.
Well, America runs on Dunkin', so everyone needs to know the coffee order.
Exactly.
I run to the bathroom on Dunkin'.
I thought that was Taco Bell.
This is a fun fact. I don't think I've ever had Taco Bell.
I didn't have Taco Bell till college. That was only because they finally got one in our main student center.
I still haven't had Taco Bell. We had this restaurant called Taco John's. And it was pretty much the same. But
I finally had to stop eating Taco Bell because it just would make me so sick every time afterwards. It felt like I had daggers in my stomach. It was so good, and then it just hurt.
Yeah, they charge extra for that.
I know. Okay, so that's our interview with Alex. Go out, buy The Destroyer once it gets republished, and Paul Plimpton versus Ragnarok. Please, he's desperate. He needs the cash.
needs a retirement fund.
Yeah,
I need to feed my family. By that I mean my cat.
and the dog. Don't forget
the dog.
Don't forget the dog. Luckily, the demon muffins aren't here to be demanding to see the dog that you did not bring. So,
Yet again, I have not brought the dog.
Becky, anything before we go out? No. Okay.
We had more time to prepare while
Yeah.
Joe and I were talking. Just to
Yeah, you had your
That's
notepad,
accurate
and
guest
all you
host.
did was make a
I
fun
made
fan
pretty
art.
little doodles.
Yeah.
Yes, because I'm gonna go on Fiverr, and he's gonna pay me $5 for his next Destroyer cover.
Okay. You're gonna try it for his pirate book too.
Yes, yes, the peg leg sharer.
Yeah.
I've been working on titles. That might be the best one so far.
Okay.
Smut cells.
Well, this has been Kendall Bookworms. You'll find us on all the major podcast apps. We're on Spotify. We have usually please leave a comment. Sometimes I'll have polls on there.
Please leave him a comment.
Yeah. Rate us on Apple. We're hosted through Podbean. Go find us there. We have a little website there. You can rate it and comment us there. We have an email, kendallbookworms@gmail.com. We're on Instagram @kendallbookworms. We are on Facebook, again at Kendall Bookworms. We have a YouTube if you'd rather listen to us on there. No video, thankfully.
Oh my gosh, that would be awful.
It would be awful.
They're awkward in person, people.
If you couldn't tell by the way we chit-chat with each other, yes, we are very awkward.
Shut Sheldon had more skills.
Do we got anything else, Alex? I know you're supposed to be the guest here, but
Yeah, I think you plugged us.
Okay.
That was a good job. Yeah, if you wanna hear more from me, check me out on Kendall Bookworms, where I regularly host a literary themed podcast. When I'm not guest hosting on the same podcast.
guest speaking, not guest hosting. Okay. See you guys next time. Out.